When you hear that music, you know what time it is, folks. FTN College Basketball Betting Show. I'm your host, Mike Randle. Follow me on Twitter at Randle Rant. And folks, welcome back again. More information last night. Big games, things we can process. Were you with me in the Night Owls? Put it in the comments. Did you watch Nevada get that win, outright win for us there against San Diego State? A San Diego State team, a lot of people were on last night, but folks, told you, the Aztecs defense, not that great anymore. And their offense, interior offense, inside the Mountain West has not been good. Adam Seiko can shoot it lights out from three-point range, but definitely was excited about that one. Our graphics picks, big night last night for the graphic picks, 4-1, of course. Those are the ones that I show you at the end of the show, the ones that I have my strongest feeling on. We will go through all the games. We've got 30 games today we're going to go through, actually, and talk about them. But the ones that I go and that I really like, I put in the graphics picks. The free play hit as well. Eastern Michigan, folks, when we get a comfortable cover, we are very happy about that. Start to finish, Eastern Michigan at home. Amani Bates didn't even really have a huge game, but they were able to get the cover against Ohio, so that was nice as well. So we'll get into it as always. Anybody's new, please like and subscribe. FTN here. Please join us. We're in the Discord. Comments back and forth. Mike Kutri's props, Frank Brank's analysis, Nick McAvis, all of the stuff that we have, we give to you here at FTN. We're getting momentum. We're having a great, great season in college basketball across the board, getting you ready for March Madness. What else is better? Nothing else, in my opinion. So here we go. As you take a little bit of a respite from the NFL season, let's get into some college basketball. First one, we'll start with Albany and UMass Lowell. I am going to take Albany plus 13.5 in this game. This is a series play for me, and you saw it last night with Kent State, Central Michigan. We were on the right side of that as well. Central Michigan was up for most of that game. Kent State made the big push to the end, but they did not cover the 18.5. I think this line is too high. Albany, in the series that they've played here against UMass Lowell, they've won by 26. UMass Lowell's won by 2. Albany's won by 10. Albany's won by 12. UMass Lowell by 8. I do believe, folks, in certain conference battles, sometimes in conferences, there are teams that just play each other well. Rivalry games, good battles. This is one of them. Albany is not great against the spread, but neither is UMass Lowell, who started the year very hot against the spread and has since regressed a little bit. Albany only 8-13 against the spread. UMass Lowell was on fire, but they're just 3-9 in their last 12. And the games that they covered, UMass Lowell, were their big opponents. Vermont, Bryant. Is it big game UMass Lowell? I think it may be here. So they're playing Albany, not a team they're going to get fired up for. I will start by taking that 13.5. I watched Purdue play Penn State in the Palestra, and I saw Jalen Pickett go absolutely bonkers in the first half, just lights out shooting. I just don't see how they stop Zach Edey. And in the second half of that game, Purdue blitzed them. Penn State is not great on the boards. They rely on their shooting. Now they're going on the road against Purdue, which is a great defensive team and by far the number one team in the country. Zach Edey ate them up all game long. And I just don't think that Penn State has an answer here. The line is going down a little bit. It's at 9.5. I don't see it. Purdue at home is very tough. I know Penn State is a veteran team. They can shoot well, but they played about as well as humanly possible that I thought they could play and shoot at the Palestra in the first game. I just don't see the adjustments here. It's not at Penn State. It's at Purdue. Edey has been dominant. I just think this game is going to go a similar path to Michigan State. Maybe Penn State comes out hot early, but eventually Purdue will wear them down. The guards outside have been great. They don't turn the ball over. They shoot well at home. Done with it. Purdue minus 9.5 against Penn State. I really like Penn State. Love what's going on there. They work hard. They're undersized. I love it. I just don't see how they can stop right now, which is the runaway player for National Player of the Year. Providence plus 4 against Xavier. This is no Zach Fremantle. Zach Fremantle is out. It looks like it's going to be a month with a foot injury for a Xavier team that already does not have a deep bench. And that's what this play is here. Xavier, we've been waiting for them to come back to the path, and they just come back to the pack a little bit after they were scalding hot, and they went on the road. They lost to DePaul. They beat Georgetown. That was a very up and down game, even with Fremantle. Then they went away at Connecticut, got the big win there away at Connecticut. And then Creighton away, they got blown out. Now they're playing Providence. Providence has been very tough. Ed Cooley doing it again. This team is actually probably more talented than the team last year that he made the great run in the NCAA tournament, won the Big East with. They beat DePaul, Butler, Villanova, solid wins. Their only stumbles here for Providence have been away at Creighton and away at Marquette. Now they're playing Xavier for the first time, but not having Zach Fremantle is going to be an issue tonight for Xavier. This number was 3.5 last night. It's now at 4. Bryce Hopkins should dominate. You saw people are fading Providence. They feel that Providence is overrated. Last year was the luck factor. People continue to fade them, and they still were able to get to the window. This year, they're waiting for them to regress. Providence is just good. They went to Villanova against a solid Villanova team that had Justin Moore back, and everyone was betting against them, and they came out with the victory. They have length. They have talent. Cooley does a fantastic job. I'll take the 4 with Xavier there. Listen, you want to bet Georgetown, that's fine. I am not. Creighton is hot. They are playing very much like the top 10 team that we thought they were going to be this year. Now they're going on the road against Georgetown. Georgetown gave it all. You want to talk law of efforts. I always talk about this. How many times can a team get up? They gave their best effort there against St. John's, a limited St. John's team that had a lot of players out, and they lost by 2. Now they're home. I get it, but that game there at Madison Square Garden, they could have got the win against St. John's, and they didn't come through with it. Now here comes Creighton, scalding hot. Don't buy it. This team is 1-10. Patrick Ewing really struggling there with Georgetown. I don't see it. I know it's a big number, but I believe Creighton can cover it. And in fact, if you want to talk about Creighton over the last few games, Creighton is just 7-2 in their last 9 games, and they have no problem with big margins. Away at Butler, they win by 21. St. John's at home, they hung 104. Xavier, how good is Xavier, right? They beat them by 17 at home. So I have no reason to think that there's a backdoor cover that Georgetown's going to keep this game close. No problem there. We've gotten on the Army train, and we're going to continue on the Army train. Army was very strong for us here, and then they hit a little bit of a slide, but they seem to have picked it up and gotten back up again. They went away to American, and they struggled in that one, but I believe they covered. Then Holy Cross, they won at home by 11. Now they're facing Lehigh. They beat Lehigh at home by 2. I know this is the flip-flop theory, and a lot of people will go with Lehigh here, but I think Army is starting to get it together. They are 6-4, well-disciplined team, and what I love about Army is they are number 1 within the Patriot League in three-point shooting, 41.1%. Love what they're doing here on the road against Lehigh. Lehigh defends the 3 very well, and they're on a massive winning streak, 8-2. But Army in these spots plays very well. They play up against top competition. Lehigh 8-2, Army on the road, only a slight underdog. And typically when you've seen the second matchup between teams, usually they favor, if that team that lost is home, they favor the home team by about 4 or 5. The fact that this line is small, I like it. I think Army is going to be very competitive tonight. I'll get to your comments in a minute. Just hold on, definitely. And one of the games I know you want to talk about is Pittsburgh. I like Pittsburgh here in this spot. I do not believe in North Carolina, and we saw Duke last night. Of course, we have the legendary Duke-UNC battle on the horizon coming up this weekend, and we saw it. Duke last night did not cover against Wake, even though they were home, even though they played very well. I think from start to finish played very well, but Wake was able to get there at the end and get us the cover. And this is another spot here. You have UNC Duke on the horizon, the first rematch after last year's classic battle in the Final Four. And you have a Pittsburgh team that plays very tough. They've gone on the road. They beat Georgia Tech. They beat Louisville, the bottom players, but then they beat Syracuse on the road. They have been very, very competitive. And they beat this North Carolina team by 2 the first time that they played. I like their defense. I like their toughness. I like the interior. And again, with North Carolina, I find with these covers, who's been rough against the spread, it all comes down to how well they shoot the 3. So if you're going to bet North Carolina, you think they're going to be making 3s tonight, I will take Pittsburgh with 8.5, even though I expect everyone to be on UNC in a bounce back spot, just like everyone was going to be on Duke last night in a bounce back spot. The Blue Bloods are down. The numbers still get inflated. We got it with Wake. Let's see if we can get a night with Pittsburgh. 0 interest in wagering on Louisville and Georgia Tech. 0. I guess if I would lean Louisville because they're home. And if they're not going to beat Georgia Tech, who are they going to beat? But Louisville has just been awful against the spread. You saw them give it back to Boston College on the road. They got up and they played well. They just can't put it together. Georgia Tech 1-10 in the ACC. Louisville 0-10 in the ACC. Haven't won a game. I just don't see it. I guess I would take the 2.5 with Louisville. But folks, if you're betting this game over other games, you must be a fan of one of these teams because no interest in wagering on this one. Another one I like is Maine. We've been great with Maine this year. They've been great against the spread for us. And now they go on the road against Bryant. And you know my criticism of Bryant, which I've said throughout the year, they're now in a different conference. They're in a different league, and they think they're, a little full of themselves. They're a lot better than they are. I don't think so. They're only 8-10 against the spread. They're very cocky. Maine, one of the best teams in college basketball, 12-6-1 against the spread. This game, they have played before Maine, and Maine can shoot the three. They can shoot very well from beyond the arc. Maine has not played Bryant yet, but they have been very tough on these road spots. UMBC, UMass Lowell, which is tough. They only lost by 2. I like this Maine team. I think we're still giving Bryant inflated numbers off of last year. They've been in the America They're only 4-4. Bryant came in all cocky, full of themselves. They've come into the America East here. They lost to UMass Lowell away. They lost away to Binghamton. Now, you're going to say they're going to come home and get hot, I guess, but they gave up 84 points away to Binghamton. I don't think their problems are fixed. I think their problems are deep, and Maine is a team that has covered very well for us, so we will take that one as well. Let's go to our comments here. Adam, graphic pick, scorching hot. Yes, sir. Well, hopefully we'll keep it going today. We have 6 of those today for you, Adam, so those will be at the end. Let's go, Ricky, of course. Edie is a cheat code. Yes, he certainly is. And they couldn't guard him. I mean, they just can't double because they can't rebound. That's my issue tonight. They have to double Edie because they'll eat him up if they go straight up. And if they double, they're going to leave those shooters open. They really struggled. It was bad. They should have won that game. They played so well in that first half. I was on them on Penn State, and they fell apart in the second half in that game. Saw some Penn State love, but I'm terrified of fading Purdue. Glad you have. Yeah, Purdue at home is just going to be very, very tough. That's what I think tonight. I know it's 9.5. It's fine. Michigan State matches up well. Malik Hall was back. Izzo, the whole thing, everything you want. They were able to take care of that. Unless you want to argue sleepy spot, that's the only argument I have. I don't see it tonight. The aforementioned Binghamton has played well. Binghamton has actually been competitive. They're playing UMBC for the first time, and it is away. But Binghamton, last few games, let's look what they did. They ended up playing. They won New Hampshire home, NJIT away, UMass Lowell home. They upset Albany away. They ended up winning by 9. They struggled against Maine away and struggled against Vermont. Everybody struggles against Vermont, but they come back at home and they blitz Bryant. I think they keep this game close here. UMBC has come back to the pack, like I said. 3 losses in their last 4. They started 3-1 there. In the America East, and then they came back to earth. I like Binghamton with this big number. Always like when I'm getting a big number here with a team that I think is hot and another team that is really struggling. This is going to test our theory, this next one. Florida plus 5.5 against Tennessee. This is classic. This is a classic game that will test that theory that I've mentioned to you about underdogs in conference at home around 5.5 points. Tennessee, dominant team, one of the top teams in college basketball, but now they're going on the road to rival Florida, and Florida has started to play better as of late, and I love seeing this number at 5. As soon as I saw it out, I said to myself, if this number is going to be 5.5, I'm going to grab it. Yes, I understand Tennessee is 18-3. Yes, I understand they're 7-1 in the SEC. Yes, I understand that they have the number 1 defense in Ken Palm per adjusted efficiency. But my issue here is that Florida and Todd Golden have started to play a lot better. They have 5 wins in their last 7. Georgia, LSU, Missouri, very impressive at home. Mississippi State, South Carolina, comfortable win. Texas A&M away, lost by 2 points. Close game, tough place to play. And then Kansas State away, lost by 14. We're battling in that game, but lost by 14. Overall, their body of work, they're playing better. Florida is also top 10 in adjusted defensive efficiency per Ken Palm, so they can D up as well. And here is the issue with Tennessee moving forward. I want to make this clear right now. Tennessee is one of those teams, the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. Rick Barnes has done an amazing job in those situations. My concern with those teams is you need superior point guard play. He has a bunch of players that are not one-on-one players that can't really score one-on-one on their own. They struggle to get a big shot. All of that is predicated on the point guard setting them up. When did Rick Barnes go to a Final Four? When he had TJ Ford at Texas. So I don't know if I believe enough in Santiago Vescovi in order to set them up. You saw them in Kentucky. They got up 8-0. Vescovi dove for a loose ball. His shoulder got knocked. He went off. He was terrible shooting. It hurt the whole game. The entire offense collapsed. They are great. They are a great team. Barnes does an incredible job. They are fragile. because their point guard is not superior. If Tennessee had an elite point guard, a la a John Wall, Derrick Rose, those type of players historically, they would win the national title this year. But those type of teams need someone to set up the ancillary players. And I don't know if Vescovi is that good. As he goes, they go. If Florida limits him tonight, I think they're going to cover. Well, why not just bounce back on a Wednesday on the Mike White fade train, huh? Auburn minus 11.5 against Georgia. Auburn played very well, had the tough loss there against West Virginia. Now you're looking at Auburn 6-2 in conference, 16-5 overall, 2 straight losses. Texas A&M at home, West Virginia. This is an angry Auburn team. Here comes Georgia, sort of underachieving to me. I mean, they've overachieved this year, but under in terms of talent. Mike White, I don't trust here. It's a bounce back spot. It's a very similar to Alabama last night against Vanderbilt, who we said from start to finish, good night. Someone in the chat even asked about first half line. I said, yes, that one hit. It was 8.5. Same situation here. Georgia coming off an overtime win at home over South Carolina. Seriously. And prior to that, they had lost 3 straight. Georgia is starting to bleed, and I think that continues tonight with Auburn minus 11.5 versus Georgia. Number's a little high. There's a lot of variance in this number here. I took it at 6. I think I got it 6 at BetMGM. I see it at 4.5, 5, 5.5. There's a lot of uncertainty around this line. Huge variance here when you look across the books. I'll take St. Bonaventure with 6 at Richmond. I don't know if I take it at 4. So this is not one of my strongest plays, but I do lean St. Bonaventure getting 6. Richmond has struggled here back and forth. At home, they can be very, very tough. I get that. But the line being that high, 6 just seems a little too much to me. And when I see a lot of variance, I like to grab the highest line. Richmond has lost 3 in a row, VCU, UMass, and Dayton. So it's really a bounce back spot here at home. But St. Bonaventure has been competitive in tough situations, especially away at VCU, winning by 3. 6 is a lot. Not one of my strongest plays. Don't like it at 4, but 6, if you get 6.5, yeah, I'll take that chance. This line is going up. UMass, George Mason. The issue with UMass is there's a lot of internal strife there. There's been some complaining about Frank Martin's rotations, how he's not playing. He's only playing his son on certain occasions, and he's not playing some of the younger players. But that seems to have gone away the last 2 games. Richmond home, won by 9. Duquesne home, won by 8. They're shooting well from 3, and their younger players are really starting to come together for UMass. RJ Luis had 31 points. He was 17 of 18 from the free throw line. TJ Week can shoot it. Rashul Diggins. Isaac Conte's coming off the bench doing a nice job with Wildens Levesque inside. I don't know the update with Noah Fernandez, who was their go-to player early, but I'm starting to think maybe Fernandez is part of the problem, because the last couple of games, I feel like UMass has gotten the rotation right. You know they're going to play defense. This number's a little high on the road for UMass and George Mason. Death taxes and taking Radford. I am not concerned about Radford being on the road and here in conference, because I just love the way Radford's played all year. They are disciplined. They are tough. They are 13-7-1 against the spread, and they did very well for us recently. They got us the cover against Longwood. They got a cover against High Point. They got a cover against Campbell. Yes, they stumbled a little bit against SC Upstate, but this Radford team is talented. They just wear you down. They don't make mistakes. It's almost like a mini Virginia here. Radford is 8-2. They have the 9th longest winning streak in the country at 7. They are disciplined here in the Big South, and they are 1 game behind UNC Asheville. Presbyterian just 1-9. I don't think they stumble here. I believe in Radford. They're the type of team that's well coached, that does well on the road. So yes, I know I am fading the 5.5 rule on the road, but it's not always right. And when I am going to lay it, I will lay it with a team like Radford in this spot. I want to bounce back from Samford. That's what I'm looking for here. Samford was one of the top teams in their conference. They have played well. They were scoring at a high rate, and then they've stumbled over the last couple games in the SoCon. They are now down. They lost back-to-back games to Furman in overtime and Wofford. The Wofford loss was very bad. Now they're playing Western Carolina, who they beat at home by 9. I don't think they lose 3 in a row. I am impressed. This team shoots 37% from 3-point range. They do 55% from 2-point range. So they are a high-scoring team under Bucky McMillan. You look at the standings in the SoCon, they are 8-2. There's a 3-way tie for Furman, UNCG, and Samford up top. I don't think they stumble here. I think it's a get-right spot for them after 2 tough losses. They have been the top team in the conference for most of the year. I think they get back here. I don't know what to make of this game because I don't like Furman a lot. I said I'm a little bit down on Furman, but Chattanooga has just gone in the tank. What a terrible job this year by Chattanooga. They look so good. They won at Middle Tennessee State and they hit scalding hot 3-pointers. But since then, they've gone downhill. They played away. Furman beat this team by 8 away. You would think Chattanooga's in a bounce back here, but they've lost 4 straight games. They finally got and beat East Tennessee State away, which was a nice win, but they win by the 3. They die by the 3. I can see this one going either way. I would avoid this game at all costs because I could see Furman dominating, but then Furman can go cold from 3-point range and Chattanooga could get hot and maybe they reverse it against East Tennessee State. This one is a stay away. I think there's other spots here. I'm not even going to say lean with Furman. I just think it's very up in the air. I'd rather not bet it. But one I am betting is we're going to continue to fade Wofford. Wofford, congratulations on getting us on the last game, but I'm not convinced that you are done beating us here. I'm really not. Wofford 12-8 against the spread overall. And I understand that they've won 2 in a row, but prior to that, they did not cover 2 in a row here. And East Tennessee State home has been very, very frisky. I don't trust Wofford. I think the turnovers can happen. I think their offense is very helter-skelter. And I love that this got up to 3.5. Last night I saw it was 2.5. I'm like, maybe I should stay away. But 3.5 with East Tennessee State with a Wofford team I don't trust on the road, I will take that every time. Love Lafayette tonight. Lafayette's been rolling. Lafayette is the team that you look at. We mentioned this, and you look at their record and you say they're not very good. Now they're playing Navy, and they're playing them here. And I believe that this is just a team that is a betting gold mine for us. Navy, now Lafayette, they beat Lafayette at home 59-50. So even before Lafayette got scalding hot, they were competitive in the game at Navy. Remember, Lafayette 2-14, 0-3 in the Patriot League, really struggling. Then all of a sudden, they go on a 4-game winning streak. They lose to Lehigh away. That's the rival game. We understand that. They bounce back against Loyola Maryland. And look, I'm sorry, they did not cover by a half a point against Colgate. But if you watch that game, it was close the entire way through, and Colgate just pulled away at the end. This is a bet on Lafayette playing better. This is a bet. I don't care about the records. This is a 5-5 team, Lafayette, the Leopards, in the Patriot League after starting 0-3. So I love this spot here. They're home against Navy, and they're getting 2 points. Fantastic. I would even look at it at the money line. Love this one. Bet against Tulsa here, one of the worst teams in college basketball against the spread. Tulsa has been abysmal this year, just awful. Now officially the worst team in college basketball against the spread. 3-16-1, just absolutely terrible. And they are last. It used to be Loyola Chicago, who shocked us last night against Dayton, making 3-pointers left and right and taking that game to overtime. But Tulsa is absolutely at the bottom, 3-15-2. Cincinnati is playing well. They were tough against Houston. They rebound the ball, starting to come together. Cincinnati, I'm paying attention to you, Bearcats. They're doing very well, like them as well. Got some more comments here. Ricky, Tennessee is hot, but I'm fading this game. That's fine. I get it. You may not be thrilled on that one, but this one hits all of the key points that I really like. Ricky, you know about that 5.5. Colby, I know you're not necessarily over-under guy, but there's a number that stands out to you on this slate. I haven't looked at over-unders today. We've been doing a lot of stuff here, getting ready for the Super Bowl, so I haven't done over-unders, just sides. We'll put some props in later, though. Make sure to ask me about those. Colby in the Discord, I know you're in there. Do a great job. Yeah, Ricky, fading for them forever. Ricky, it's possible that game I saw is like the only game they haven't played well this year, but they really struggled on the interior, and that's what it was. It wasn't take lock. It wasn't recency bias. I thought Okoro would play well, and he did. And in the first half and most of the second half, they were good. Then he got into foul trouble, and everything totally fell apart. Am I worried about Landers Nolley health for Cincinnati? Bobby, I wouldn't. Tulsa has been so terrible. It's a high number at 16. Well, I would love it around 11, 12, be a little lower. But in those spots, what I like to do is pick who I think is going to win the game. I do not see a path that Tulsa wins this game, whether Landers Nolley plays or not. You saw good teams that are well coached, and they certainly are with Wes Miller. You saw the other night when there was an injury to TCU last night that the TCU was still able to play well. I'm not overly concerned. If you want to be upset and say you're not sure because he's injured, that's fair because it's a big line. But of course, giving my opinion out there, make sure that you have it. South Florida home is tough. 7.5 is a lot, but I like this South Florida team. They've played very well at home, and they're playing an East Carolina team that really is battling some injuries right now, and they have struggled. East Carolina, we faded against Wichita, was 3.5. They just don't have the bodies right now to stay healthy. They lost at home by 11 to South Florida. Now they're even weaker. When they played South Florida the first time, they actually had a decent roster. They're just going the wrong way. And South Florida's defense, Brian Gregory really locks up. They've lost 2 road games in a row, Temple and SMU. Last time we saw Brian Gregory at home, they beat UCF. Rival UCF here. So I think it's a bounce back with a big number. No problem laying that one. You knew this one was coming if you follow the show. Belmont, Casey Alexander on the road against Murray State. I am fading Murray State at home. I know they get hot and sometimes, but this is a spot where they're facing a well-coached team that can shoot threes, that's disciplined, that's a veteran squad. I like Belmont to be almost an amplified, what Davidson wants to be type of squad here. I will take them as the underdog, getting 1.5 against Murray State. Careful with this one. Southern Illinois has been in the lead in this league the whole year. Bradley is really tough at home. Bradley has stumbled lately. This could easily be a Bradley destruction spot in the Missouri Valley where they come out and destroy Southern Illinois. They have not played Southern Illinois yet, but they are 8-4 in the Missouri Valley under Brian Wardell. They're playing 9-3 Southern Illinois, so this is a battle at the top. And what worries me about this one is Southern Illinois is coming off the loss to Illinois State. So this one is one of these that could go either way. It reminds me of Miami, Virginia Tech last night. Remember I said I could see Virginia Tech winning, and they were close the whole time, and I could see Miami pulling away late, and they did, and I just stayed away from it. I'm kind of staying away from this game. Lean Bradley, but depending on how the night goes, I probably will not put a bet in on this one because it's close. Bradley could be the dominant team, or Southern Illinois could really come out and keep this one close. This one's going the wrong way. I don't see it. I know there's a lot of love for Villanova in the market. There's a lot of belief in Villanova, but this is not Jay Wright's team. It's Kyle Neptune's. And I know Justin Moore is back, and I know that they expect them to click, and I know they're really good against the spread when they're doing well. This is a different team. Marquette is not a team that I'm worried about. They're home. Their defense is solid. They've had big wins under Shaka Smart, and they're one of the few teams this year that has actually avoided a bad spot. Marquette is 9-2, and they're tied atop the conference. They're not going to take Villanova lightly. They went on the road and won by 2. Now this game is home. They have been dominant. They have not had any missteps. They played Purdue, Mississippi State. Even their losses are close. Wisconsin, they don't have any bad losses on the season. They are 9-2 now in conference. They've won 3 games in a row. They're coming home after winning on the road against Seton Hall and DePaul. And what I like is Marquette is a very reliable team, guys. Marquette, I've gotten their second half wagers multiple times. St. John's, I got it against. DePaul, I got it against. Shaka makes great adjustments at halftime. This number was 7. It's down to 5.5. I would take it there. I believe in Marquette. Unless somebody is out tonight that I don't know about, I like Marquette. I know the market's going to favor Villanova, and they think Moore is back, and they're going to get the big bump. I don't see it. It didn't happen against Providence. I don't see why it happens here. Drake has been scalding hot and playing very well of late. Drake is getting things together. DeVries is not playing. I get that. But at home against Northern Iowa at home is good, but Northern Iowa on the road can be a little shaky. And this is not a vintage Northern Iowa team for Jacobson. Drake has been hot. They've won 3 straight games. They've won 6 of the last 7. Now they're playing Northern Iowa. Northern Iowa's on a win streak, but they just played Indiana State away. That's always a tough game. They lost that one. Now they have to go to Drake. They have Bradley coming up. Don't like it. I think Drake is hot and is starting to look like the team we saw 2 years ago. I can't lay points with Florida State. They've been too competitive. Baba Miller has come back and played well. Leonard Hamilton has this team playing much better. I just think it's too many points. I don't trust NC State. You've seen Florida State be very competitive here over their last few games. At Virginia, they were competitive. Home, lost by 9. Notre Dame away, they hung 84 points and won by 13 as an underdog. Pittsburgh away, they ended up winning by 7. Those are back-to-back wins. Notre Dame may not impress you, but Pittsburgh should. Miami home, they definitely struggled against, but then Clemson home, really good, only lost by 1. They've been competitive in these spots. They've improved throughout the year. Matthew Cleveland has played very well. I think it's too many points against NC State. I don't trust them. LSU, we backed. I thought them being home was a perfect spot. This is not the perfect spot against Missouri. They've been non-competitive, just not even showing up. That was the game. They had a lot of fans there. They were rallying, trying to win that game against Texas Tech, and they couldn't. After beating Arkansas back on December 28th, and I don't know how that happened, they have actually lost 8 straight games. Now they're playing Missouri. They're going on the road. Missouri's played well. I don't see it here. LSU has just been non-competitive. No reason to back them. I've been fading New Mexico State all year. I love Stephen F. Austin. I love their defense. I love their aggressiveness. And New Mexico State has really been in a transition year after Chris Jans has left to go to Mississippi State. Stephen F. Austin on the turnovers here. Love them in this spot on the road against New Mexico State. Oklahoma with a payback spot. We took Oklahoma at Oklahoma State, and they really were playing very well, but then the game got opened up. Rivalry game, Oklahoma home after losing by a decent score. The score is misleading in the last game, but at this point, I would not doubt Grant Sherfield, who is playing his way into an NBA team on possibly a first-round pick, just lit up Alabama. They have momentum. They want to make the tournament. They're making Porter Mosier's done a great job with this team. They're locked down defensively. I don't trust Oklahoma State to score on the road very much. Give me Oklahoma minus 3.5. 2 games left here. One of my favorites, Seattle minus 6.5 versus Abilene Christian. Seattle has been very good this year, but they really had 2 tough games back-to-back on the road. Seattle sitting at 7-2 now in the WAC, and they are a game behind Utah Valley. But they were 16-4, 7-0 in the WAC. Seattle played very well. Went away to Sam Houston State. That's tough. Went away to Stephen F. Austin. That's tough. The 2 toughest defensive teams that just get after you and ball hawk and force turnovers. Now they come back home against Abilene Christian, who is anything but that. Yes, Abilene Christian will pressure you. I understand that. But they are last in the WAC in 2-point defense. They are last in the WAC at 3-point shooting. They are not good on offense. I think this is a bounce back spot for Seattle. I expect them to get right here after 2 tough losses on the road. And finally, I like Utah State. I may have a blind eye for Utah State, but at home they've been very good, and I'm a little down on New Mexico. That game that we saw against Air Force at home was a little shaky, and they need to have Mashburn hit shot after shot to generate offense. I don't like them on the road. I think there's a little bit of a regression. Great job by Richard Pitino here. Mountain West trying to get 4 teams in the NCAA tournament, but Utah State is still battling. They are the best 3-point shooting team in the country. They are home. I don't trust New Mexico's defense. I think they will scheme something here to limit Mashburn. And if that happens, their offense can definitely struggle. You saw against Air Force. So give me Utah State minus 4.5. All right, let's wrap up here with, of course, the graphic picks. That's why you're here, folks. Give them to you right now, and then we will send you on your way. Missouri minus 10 against LSU. LSU has been non-competitive. I don't see a sleepy spot here. Missouri very strong at home, played very well, definitely competed, beat Iowa State. LSU had their chance to get the win against Texas Tech, who was shorthanded, no Pop Isaacs. If they're not going to get it there, I don't think they're going to get it here. I will risk the 8-point loss. I think Missouri covers and wins this game. Maine plus 8.5 against Bryant. Cocky Bryant thinks that they're the king of the new league, and they're not. They have struggled all year. They're just at 500. And here comes Maine, who can shoot threes, who has been very competitive. They went through a streak there where they were struggling, and then they came back and they were very, very hot. Classic spot here for Florida. I love the way Florida's playing lately. I love their defense. I love how Tennessee can struggle with their offense on the road, and I love it's at the magic number of 5.5. So give me Florida as the underdog. Forget Murray State. Belmont's still the king here. They can make threes. They're well coached. They're not going to beat themselves. Very disciplined. Murray State, the complete opposite with Steve Fromm this year. Belmont plus 1.5. This number, Marquette minus 7 versus Villanova. This number has actually ballooned. We have seen it being higher earlier this year. We've seen this number actually earlier today at that number, which was 7. It's now down to 5.5, and I am taking it, and I certainly believe in Marquette at home. They are not a team that has shown me a bad performance yet this year, so I am not fading them. And I love our Lafayette Leopards, who are one of my favorite wagers here in the country because they've been scalding hot and are getting points here against Navy at home. Folks, like, subscribe. We are only here because of you and your support at FTN. I am Mike Randle, Chief Content Officer here. College basketball season in full effect. Let's get to that window, folks. And we will be back again on Saturday, 11 o'clock on Saturday, always for the big slate. Good luck tonight.